Are we ready to start? I'm sorry.
This video was sponsored by Squarespace.
I never set out to become a woodworker. It's not something that little Jason playing make-believe in the yard pretended he would be when he grew up. I always pretended I'd be something cool, like an accountant or a bank manager. Never a woodworker. But I got into woodworking the same way that a lot of you out there probably got into it as well. We bought a house, we needed some furniture, and I was way too cheap to go spend money on it. So I said, hey, I think I can build this stuff. So I got some tools, I set up a workshop, and I got to work. But something happened along the way that I wasn't expecting. I absolutely fell in love with woodworking. I wanted to do it all the time. I wanted to get better, more advanced. I wanted to make it my full-time job. But how do you take something that's a hobby, that you just learned how to do, and make it your career? How are you going to get anyone to take you seriously? What's the next step you have to take to go from part-time to full-time? My name's Jason Hibbs. I run Bourbon Moth Woodworking, and this is my origin story. When I first started my business, I went through the generic business checklist. I needed a business name. Bourbon Moth seemed fitting. I like bourbon, and moths are so cool and fluttery. I got on social media. I got an Instagram page so that I could post pictures of my work. And last but not least, I needed a website. Now this is a little tricky because I knew nothing about building a website. That whole technology thing is completely foreign to me. So I did some searching around, and that's when I found Squarespace. Squarespace was a lifesaver. It's so easy, plug and play. You get on their website, you kind of fill out what kind of website you're looking for, you choose from a few templates, and then you just add in your pictures and your business information. And in less than a day, I was able to create a very professional looking website that served all of my purposes. So that was complete. But then I ran into my next problem. It was around 2014. And I had just built a bunch of pieces for our house. I built a dining room table, coffee table, a little dining hutch. And I thought I was getting pretty good at woodworking. And I was ready to start taking on clients. I was ready to start actually getting paid for my work. But the problem was, it was really hard to advertise myself to potential clients. Because the one question clients would always ask is, can I take a look at some of your past work? And that was the problem, because the only work that I had was pieces that I built for my own house. And it just seemed a little unprofessional to show all these pictures of the inside of my house and say, look, I built this and that and that. Not to mention, most of the pieces I had built for my own house, I was trying to save money. I was trying to do them as cheap as I could, so they weren't really the best showcases of the work I thought I was capable of doing. So what do you do when you're trying to get clients who only want to see pictures of your pieces of work, but you really don't have any yet? How do you get people to let you build them pieces of furniture when you can't prove to them that you can build pieces of furniture? This was the problem that I was up against when I first started. And I came up with a pretty interesting solution on how to work around that. I got on my website, and Squarespace has this really awesome feature where you can create custom forms that people can fill out on your website, and you can choose all the information you want them to fill out, and then they can submit a form. So I used this tool to create an entry form for a contest. I called the contest Custom Built for Cost. And I advertised it all over my social media, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere that I could get people to listen. And the way I presented the contest was, you get on my website, you fill out this entry form, and you tell me your dream piece of furniture, the piece of furniture that you've always wanted in your house, but you just really couldn't afford to have professionally made. And what I would do is I'd go through all the entries and I would select 5 different winners. And the winners knew ahead of time that if you won, it meant that I would build you your dream piece of furniture at cost, materials only. So they knew they were going to be spending some money, but it was going to be at an extremely reduced rate to them. Just whatever it cost me to build you the piece is what I would charge you. We're talking just wood, not labor, not anything else. Now, this might seem crazy, but what it did was it allowed me to do 2 huge things. Number 1, it allowed me to select 5 pieces that I really wanted to make and have somebody else pay for me to make those pieces. I wasn't making money off of them, but they were covering the cost for me to hone my skills, cut my teeth a little bit. And 2, it allowed a bunch of potential customers to fill out a form on my website and give me their contact information that I could use to reach out to them in the future when I was doing specials or looking for more potential clients. So I got all these custom forms in my inbox and I went through and I selected 5 pieces that I thought would be good showcases of my work. I selected a bed with built-in side tables. I think I picked 2 different styles of dining room table, a desk, and a coffee table. Now at the time I was doing a lot of reclaimed woodworking. That's what was popular back then. So that's pretty much what all the pieces were. So I took my time and I meticulously made each one of those 5 pieces. And then when I was done with each piece, before I delivered it to the client, I hired a professional photographer to come and take really nice pictures of each piece. So I built the pieces, I got a really good contact list of potential customers, and now I had the start of a professional portfolio. So when clients asked, could I see some of your past work, I had 5 solid pieces that I could present to them that were professionally photographed and say, here are pieces that I have done that weren't for me, not just cheap pieces that are in my living room. And I know it sounds cheesy or cliched, but I literally could not have accomplished that without the ease of my Squarespace website. If I didn't have a solid landing space for all those people to come and enter their custom forms, it would have been impossible to proceed in that way. So Squarespace played a huge part in the early growth of my business. And they played a huge part as my business continued to grow. After I did my custom build for cost competition, I started getting more and more clients because I had a professional way of presenting myself to those clients. And as the orders rolled in, life got a little crazier. My wife and I adopted our son, Ivor Seth Hibbs. I went from not being a father on a Thursday to being a father the following Monday. It was insane. And as soon as we brought him home from the hospital, it's amazing how your priorities change. I went from being completely obsessed with woodworking, wanting to do it every free second I had, being able to go out, work until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, sleep in if I had to the next day, to all of a sudden having to be responsible for another living person. I had to be awake in the morning. I had to wake up in the middle of the night to take care of him. I had to be around, and more importantly than I had to be around, I wanted to be around. I had to figure out a way to balance work and personal life, because all of a sudden the most important thing wasn't woodworking anymore. The most important thing had become my family. I started finding myself with less and less time to manage my business. I was just trying to keep up. And that's where Squarespace saved the day once again. I was able to use some of Squarespace's awesome features like their scheduling capabilities to manage client meetings and schedule appointments for walkthroughs or sit-downs. I was able to schedule out my build list on when I had to have certain projects done. I was able to use the analytics features on the website to see where the traffic was headed on my website. Were there certain products that people seemed to be more interested in than others? Maybe those are things that I should push more. All that was possible because of the vast amount of features that are available through Squarespace. and it made my life so much easier. Starting any business is hard, mine included. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that it wasn't. It requires an insane amount of work, dedication, and sacrifice. But Squarespace did make it much easier. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/bourbonmothwoodworking to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.